stay. Stuff's not cheap. $300, what you see here.
Alright, I kind of struggled with what I was going to do here for my meter can is going to mount on the wall. But what I've decided to do is that I'm going to put a full sheet of Hardie, well not a full sheet, but a half a sheet. It's going to come from about here over 2 foot from the floor to the ceiling, or ground to the eave. And it'll just be a little bit different, but right in this area where the meter can is going to mount, and then that'll make the transition between the lap everywhere else. So that's what we're going to be doing. My electric will go through from a meter can inside. Now before I mount this, I got to get my piece of conduit that's going to run through there, and that'll wrap this up. That screw's having a hard time getting in there, so I'm going to do a pilot hole. Maybe that'll help. Then again, maybe it's just the user. Try a different bit. That one seems to grip it a little better. Imagine that. Now we just torque all these down. Box is installed. Now we'll get our conduit run between this and the panel inside. In this hole right here, we have a piece of 2-inch conduit that will go through, hopefully. Well, it'll go through there and go inside. We use a lock ring on each side to hold it in place, keep it from moving. And then we use one of these plastic bushings on the outside to keep the wire from chafing, to prevent damage to your wire. Notice on these lock rings, there's a little barb right there. You see, let's see if you can see it. See how it's bent down right there? That goes against your inside, so it's going to grip against the metal. So we'll go ahead and put that on there. That's what it's going to look like on both sides. Alright, now that that's in, we'll take our lock ring on this side. Remember, the barb goes against the metal. Okay, now we'll take a screwdriver. You can use a chisel or a punch, but you want to just lightly tap this to snug it up good and tight. And finally, we'll take one of these, put on there. And now our wires will be protected when they go through here, and they won't be damaged. Next, we got to look at our wires. Now, our electric wires, we got a 200 amp service, so we have our feeder cables that go into the panel box inside. They're sized for 200 amps. They're going to connect to each of these lugs and go inside. These are our 2 hot lugs. Got line 1, line 2, or line 1, line 2, it doesn't matter, they're interchangeable. This is where our neutral wire will connect, and this is where our ground wire will connect. Those will go in. The ground wire will also run up through this little knockout there. There's a little knockout back there. And it will ground right on that ground lug right there in the very back corner. And so that will complete your grounding. Now, you've got to have your ground lug all the way out to your ground rods. It has to be uninterrupted. So what we'll do is we will run a wire from here first, and we'll come down and we'll go into here. What I may do to, because I like to have a solid wire, I may remove this ground lug here on the bus bar and feed it through and do that first. But I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But first, the big heavy wire. Now here's the wire we're going to use. See, it's a big heavy gauge wire. It's pretty stiff. We're going to have to do some fancy bending on it, but it's going to go through and it's going to feed its way up. What I may do is get it cut to length and then pre-bend it, and I think it'll be easier to install that way. Now that's not complete. I've got to come back and I've got to put some anti-corrosion compound on there. Anytime you have dissimilar metals, you need to put that on there so that you don't get corrosion and cause a problem with connectivity. I don't have that on me. I also don't have my wrenches to torque these down properly, so that's going to have to wait. Like I said, that's only temporary until I can get my anti-corrosion compound on there. If you're going to be cutting big wires, I really recommend one of these right here. They work awesome. You want to be careful when you're stripping these back that you don't cut the wires inside. You don't want to score them, because if you score the wires inside, you'll create a situation where the wires can heat up under heavy load. So you just want to just get through the insulation. See how it's just barely hanging on, and then you want to clean that off. And be careful that you don't want to cut yourself like I did the other day. Just temporary. There we have that. I got my OxGuard antioxidant compound. We'll put that in here. We'll put that on here, here, and here, because we don't want this, and we'll do it on the inside too. We don't want it to oxidate. Yeah, that's the word. We don't want it to oxidate. We don't want it to get any corrosion, because corrosion leads to bad connections. Bad connections leads to fires, and we don't want that. And phone calls in the middle of the night. And you don't need a bunch of it. And this is nasty. Look at this. Look at that. Ooh. So we'll put this on here, and we'll smear that around a little bit, cover it up good, put a little more on there for good measure. And we'll put that bad boy in there.
And your trusty assistant.
And my trusty assistant brings me a cloth to wipe my hands off. We're going to cheat.
No.
And we're going to cheat. Just make sure you don't cheat too hard and break something. You want it tight enough, just not too tight. And we'll tighten this bad boy up here. I believe that's tight. This one. Wants to be a screwdriver when it grows up. And well, I guess technically you don't really have to have it on your ground. I like to put it on there anyway because it's there and it is dissimilar, and I don't want it to have any corrosion, because the worst thing in the world you have is no ground on your home. All right, all done. Well, I still got to run my ground rods and all that mess. Done with this. We're going to do the inside now. But you know what it looks like, so I don't need to show you again. I'll just do that, then we'll get working on this grounding stuff, which is going to be a pain. And you can see in the panel where we brought the wires in here, we ran them up there and around and into where the lugs are going to be. Give ourselves a little bit of slack back down the other side over at the other one, and it runs out. The ground wire will connect to this lug here and will come out. It'll come around, it'll run down here, it'll go out here, and it will connect up to the box outside. That will connect into here, and I may run one up into here as well. All right, well, there we have it. We'll take a sneak peek in here. There's our ground back there in the back corner. Put that in there to keep birds out. Gonna come down, and our conduit across here goes into our acorn bolt on that ground rod. Comes along the wall here, 6 foot away onto that ground rod. While we were at it, we went ahead and put the cover on the outside GFI, and our panel is installed. Now you'll notice that there's a double breaker missing right there. I've got that out temporary until we get ready for our inspection. There it is right there on the floor. I've got my generator cord plugged into it so we can have temporary power while I need to clean this mess up. All right, to mount this, it's going to go like this with the short side to the back.
To the wall.
Yep. And so we got to take these. They're tight. I got to take those 4 screws out. This is just going to set down right here and tighten down. Okay. This piece is going to go right over the middle there. All right. Now that is going to go up through that hole up there. We're going to put lag bolts up in here to hold it. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this stuff out a little bit. Panel box completed. We got our meter can installed. Our weather head is hooked back up. Everything is there ready to go, waiting for the power company. Ground comes in, goes to ground rod 1, goes along the wall, over to ground rod number 2. 2 ground rods are required for electrical building code nowadays, so we have 2. I don't know when that came into be. It was before 2016 though, because I think that was the last time that I did an electrical install that required, or the first one I did that required 2. So anyway, I guess tomorrow we'll do the deal with the inspection, hopefully, and maybe we can get some power. I don't know if they'll give us power with the siding not on here yet or not. We'll see. All you can do is ask, right? Anyway, that's all I have for today, and we'll see you next time.